Alright guys, I'd like to first start off by saying I have no freaking idea what I'm going to do. But I have here spread out on my welding table some bits and pieces, some stuff I think I need, and a couple of I haven't got a clues. So now I'll explain quickly that when I was in Detroit recently, the real Beatnik Bandit was there along with my clone. My clone was in the basement, the real car was in a display upstairs, and I did the best I could by setting the timer on my phone for the camera, and I'd shove my arm down behind the engine and wait for the flash, reset it, shove it over here and shove it over there and underneath the car, and I tried to get as many photographs as I could of the Moonstick, and that's what we're going to try and conquer today, is not so much the stick as the apparatus that operates the stick. And the way the stick supposedly worked was you'd hold it like this and you'd pull back for the brakes, forward for the gas. The fuel lines were never hooked up, the cables to run that. And you'd move it to the left to make a left, you move it to the right to make a right. So I do have some photographs, not a few, I've got very limited that it came out. So, well, I shouldn't say it came out. I have very limited that I have half a clue of what's going on. And this car is not going to run and drive. I think I've stated that several times throughout this YouTube series. And I would like to make the brakes work, because I do let little kids sit in the car and stuff. And I know if I was a little kid, that would be a really exciting thing for me. So I would like to, if I'm pushing the car to the spot at a show, I'd like to be able to yell to the kid, "Hey man, pull back on the brakes, pull that handle back," and they'd pull it back and the car would stop. And that's just me. A lot of guys out there would really like to see this thing run and drive, but that's not really important to me. To me, it's just it's a multimedia, three-dimensional mechanical work of art. So I will show you the pictures I've got, and then let's just get cracking. Let's just jump right in this, because I'm just winging this. I got my pointer. I've got a couple of photographs. I'm not going to dig around in here too much for other photos. Well, let's just start with this one here, and I'll try and show you the best I can. This is one of the pictures I've got. You can tell it's like a 40 Ford master cylinder. And right off over here, that's a spring, okay? And it's mounted to a plate that's glued to the body. And there's that spring, and there's this piece here. And this here operates the hydraulic mechanism. And there's a reservoir with fluid. That arm comes out, it goes up and down, it actuates a little thing, and that operates a hydraulic ram that would turn the wheels. I'm going to go with the linear screw motor on this, just because I'm not making an exact clone and building like a tribute. But that is like the best picture, I would say, of what we have going on with this. Here's a good shot of the other side showing the same deal. If you look, you can just see that's a spring right there. I don't know if you guys want to pause your computers. Excuse me, man. Breathe in the dust in the body shop. But there's a little spring right there, and you can see the arm at the top and the base and everything. So I have to guess that Ed's got this set up, right? And it's bolted to a plate. There's something on the bottom. And there's like a long rod that comes back that makes this something teeter. And this is like a cross. And this teeters on springs, okay? I did the best I could at the hardware store, and I picked these bad boys up. And they seem like they've got some good squish rate there. So they'll be on the sides. And what that does is it's not so much as a resistance as it makes the stick kind of come back and stay vertical. So I'm going to guess that there's a shaft that pivots, and like I say, a cross on either side. And then there has to be two tabs coming up for the arm to be able to articulate this way. So it'll articulate this way, operate the brake and the fuel, and go from side to side and operate the steering. That's what I've got to kind of figure out. That's as good. I'm probably the only person that has pictures like that. So I'm just winging it. And it's just very confusing. What can I say? So like I said, I have like the main components. And I did make up this on the lathe. So now this, you can look at it and you're like, it's a telescope, right? Well, it is like telescopic right now. But once it gets welded together, it won't be. And I'll show you what we've got. In the book here, Hot Rods by Ed Big Daddy Roth, there's a good shot at it. Usually when you see the car now, there's like a velvet rag around the shifter, so you can't see it. But you can see here that there are three, there's a very large piece here at the bottom. There you are, I'm sorry about that. And it steps down to this, and it steps down to this, which I know is 3/4 OD. So I'm kind of guessing at the rest of them. So, like I said, I machined up some stuff. This is my 3/4 OD, and I'm hoping like this will be the piece that goes in the bottom, and on top of this, will be the handle and everything, and this will be like the Moonstick. Now, as close as that handle that I see, as close as I can figure that is, by looking at pictures and stuff on the internet, and it kind of came to me a while back that if you've ever ridden like public transportation, like a subway system in New York City, where I'm from, and or like a city transit bus, they had what they call strap hangers. And those are the guys that ride the subway. If you can't find the spot to sit, you grab this handle and you hold it, right? And you go on your ride. So that is that shape. I'm going to end up getting some solid stock probably, just heating it up and bending it because it's going to be easier and cheaper for me. And it'll be exactly what I want. Instead of like spending hours on eBay and buying a vintage thing for a couple $100. Round stock would cost me $20. So that's what I figured that thing was, because I could never figure out what the heck that was. What did he use? Like a pallet jack handle or a wagon handle, a cart for like a baggage cart at the airport. Southern California, lots of aviation surplus. It could have been like a tail hook for for an airplane. I got no idea what the heck that was. So that's it. That's my explanation. I don't want to talk forever on this. Let's just go right to measuring some stuff and starting to machine some parts. For this next little bit, I needed a template. The other pieces were just square, so I could just knock them together. So I've got my base, I've got my master cylinder, bolted to this, threaded the holes into the plate. I can set that there like this. Just kind of perch it there so I can show you. Now what I'm thinking is this piece will go back here somewhere, just like so. So now with this piece mounted back here, with this little high section, this finger here, I'm figuring I can make a box that'll go around this and it'll still have room to articulate like that. And that'll go there, and then a shaft like this is going to go between the two like this. And this will be the shaft that pivots. So I'm going to lob off a little bit of the end of this, thread it, I'm going to weld it right to here. I'll drill the next piece straight through, and then the bolt will pass through this, go through the one piece I've drilled straight through, and in the threaded piece it'll bottom out and leave the rest of it loose to pivot. At least that's what I have in my mind. So it'll end up like this. So let me go ahead and start making these bits. Now after cutting all my 1/4 inch plate steel and drilling and dressing off the edges and machining little bits, I've come up with this. Now what I'm hoping for here, gang, is obviously this is where my master cylinder will bolt up, right here like so. And I have it set up like this here, and I have to still weld it to this piece of plate, but this has enough slack in it where this will be able to pivot, and I'm hoping these springs will go on either side, and I'll put a piece across so it can pivot against that. I've got a hole here so a rod can go through to operate the master. I hope I have enough slack here, otherwise I may have to come up with something, and another rod with some heim joints, a spring this way to keep it returned forward, and I'm hoping to build something off of here and off to the back. Let me grab some plate, maybe like a little something like this with the sides open, that my Moonstick apparatus here can sit into and operate like this, and then move it from side to side, just to give you an idea. So that's what I'm hoping for with all this, and of course I'm winging it, and I may have to make something else up, but I think this is the best form of attack that I have right now. So this is what I'm going to go with. So what I need to do now is get these squared up against this plate and just tack weld them, because you never know. We may have to go back and discombobulate something and shuffle it around and whatnot. So let's get all that squared away now. And this is where we're at. And not too shabby for just winging it, right? So I'll have to move the camera to get you in the top of this so I can show you. You saw me make all the bits and everything to go up here. But it's still a little hot. But you can see, it'll come right back. So let me give you a close-up view. You can see, you know, I made this all up. I cut the edges down at an angle so it would look nice. And those pieces I machined up on the lathe are these little bungs here. I chamfered the edge on this one so I could weld it and then grind it flush, because this will probably get bolted down to or welded to another piece of plate steel that's going to be the transmission mount. So I got those little bungs, there's one here and one here. And I'll shove a wrench in here and you can see, you know, when I go to move this, it comes right back, and it's got a lot of play in it. And those little bungs keep the springs where they gotta be, because you can see how the springs don't really compress or expand the way you would think. And I don't think that my Moonstick is gonna move any more than that. And it's taken some oomph to get this to move. So I think that's pretty good. Well, so far it works. What I've got to do now is figure out how I'm going to do this part here. I don't think we need all this steel. Keep the bottom half. Move my cup out of the way there. And so I got to make something, like a couple tabs like this, to hold this up. And with this, that's how I'll be able to move this from side to side. Because this will have, like I said, this will have a tab or something on either side. I'm going to have to use some kind of a box and drill it to the 7/8 that this is, slide it over and weld it to here, so it all stays open on the other end so I can get at that bolt. And this needs to pivot back and forth. And then something will have to come off the bottom so it can go through this hole to operate that brake master. So I gotta figure all this out yet. So let me just sit here and look at it and play around with it for a little bit, and we'll start machining up some bits and pieces, and we're going to make this happen. We're going to make it work. Well, it's looking like a whole lot of something, but that's all the little bits and stuff I machined all put together. And I just shoved this in here for some leverage. But you can see how that articulates. You forward and back. And you know, she works, the springs are pretty tough to do like this, but you know, she's working you side to side. So I'm guessing that's how Ed had it set up. So now I'd like to go ahead and make the rod that goes through here that's going to work the master cylinder. So yeah, I'm thinking about that. But let's wing it. We'll go ahead and start making up some bits and pieces and putting them together, and we're getting there.